Hey everybody, it's Granny here. I hope everybody's having an awesome day and had a wonderful July 4th holiday. I didn't do anything. It was kind of nice not to have to go anywhere or do anything. I don't know. But, yeah. It was different too because for so many years, my family was always one that for the holidays got together, especially on the 4th. It was my mother's side of the family. It was their reunion. And so it just felt strange. And then after my mom passed away, I tried to keep it going until I moved away. And then when I came back, I just haven't tried, and nobody else did either. So yeah, it's kind of gone by the wayside. I saw a thing on Facebook that said that reason our families aren't the same is because the generation that took care of getting us together has all passed away. Sad, isn't it? Anyway, just wanted to talk to you guys about the Chad Dorman trial story. Kind of going to do somewhat of a deep dive. For those of you who don't know what the story is about, Chad was the father of 3 young boys, all of them 7 and under. I think it was 7, 5, and 3, I believe, were the ages. And he had a stepdaughter who was married. Sounds like there were problems in the marriage. I don't know. It'll depend on what comes out in the trial, I imagine. But according to reports, he lined up his children, his boys, and unalived them with a weapon. All 3 of them in the front yard. I've heard different reports. So I've heard that one was inside the home, unalived inside the home. The other 2 were outside. One ran away and went back and got him and brought him back home. I've heard all different kinds of stories, but anyway, what I found interesting, and I'm sure those of you who are following this case are wondering about, is that there's 21 charges against him. And I've seen a lot of people say online, why 21 charges for 3 murders? Well, my favorite lawyer on YouTube explained that. I actually had his father come on and explain it for us. So we're going to watch a little bit of that. And before we even do that, we'll watch the beginning part where it shows him getting arrested. So we're going to do that. So let me share my screen with you.
Convicted of all 21 counts. Can the
just gonna find that spot. Okay.
Was allegedly committed and allegedly confessed to. So we're gonna watch how law enforcement shows up to this. I'm gonna put it on normal speed, but I'm gonna skip through some of the slower parts of them just kind of walking up to the house. But the interaction, I think, is telling. And again, we're going to remember this. We build on this stuff, right? As we get information on the cases, we build on it. So remember this while my dad's talking about the indictment for when we come back and I explain how you can confess to something and still plead not guilty and how this body cam footage might come into play there.
Where's he at?
He's the shooter's on the porch.
Get him right here. You got him on the porch.
We've asked, that's the last place we've been told.
You show me your hands now! Stand up and walk towards us! Stand up now! Walk towards us! Stand up with your hands up!
And if you're wondering why they're coming in literally guns blazing with serious heavy-duty firearms, bulletproof vests, yelling like this, seeming nasty and angry, you know, they don't know what happened yet. It's because they get the call. They know what's been reported, and for their safety and the safety of everyone else around, if you hear that a weapon was used, this is how law enforcement is trained to come in. This is the appropriate way to come in. I promise they're not expecting him to act like he acts when they do show up.
His name is Chad Dorman. Chad Dorman.
They know Chad Dorman is who they're looking for.
If you're going to first aid and he's not complying, you know he's a shooter, shoot him.
And I don't know if you heard that,
but...
Gotta
find cover first. We ain't no good if we ain't safe ourselves.
And again, law enforcement knows that everything's being recorded on body cam, and they said something like, if he's a shooter, shoot him, because we're no good if we're not here and we're not safe. So that's what's in their head. So it should be in their head for their safety when they're reported to something dangerous like this, where they know somebody has a weapon and they know he has, I shouldn't say they know. It's been reported somebody has a weapon and it's been reported that he's used it against another human being. That's exactly what they are as human beings. If he's there to protect himself or there to hurt people, they should be on red alert. And, you know, you're just getting a view of that here on the body cam footage real time.
Hey, no. We need to come from this side where we can see them. Don't take cover behind her.
And they're being cautious as they should.
We're going to approach from this side. We got cover.
We've talked about law enforcement a lot on this channel. They're put in impossible situations all the time with limited knowledge, and they're going in here to protect the other people in this neighborhood and in this house. I'm personally not built for this stuff, so I have a lot of respect for people who are.
Show us your fucking hands now! Stand up! Stand up!
P.S. Excuse the language. This is uncut footage here.
Stand up! Stand up now! Stand up! Stand the fuck up!
So he's not listening to them. They're blurring out the dog, I believe. I don't really know why. He yells at the dog to go in a few times. As you can see, he is sitting there. And we know how this video ends. If you've seen it, I've seen it, so I know how it ends. But when you walk up as a law enforcement officer, knowing what was reported to you, and he has a rifle sitting right next to him, and he is refusing to stand up when you tell him to stand up, that is a scary situation. So what does the officer do? He rips him up, throws him to the ground. Exactly what he should do. Does not give him a chance to reach for his rifle. Himself, the other officers with him, lives on the line, literally. So, I mean, if we're breaking down how law enforcement handled this, to me, A+. You're not.
Get your hands.
I agree, by the way.
Tell them 21. It's in there.
Those guys can confirm that there's people that need first aid, and that's the shooter. He's not complying. They need to take care of the victims. They have to show them the shootout.
And they're confirming that that is the shooter.
We're completely sober.
Hard to hear some of it because of dog.
I don't do drugs now. I'm sober. I'm not.
Okay, the black spot that you see on the right side of the screen, Peter Tragos, or says that it's a dog that they're hiding and he doesn't know why. No, it's not. That is where one of the boys is, and you will see that the officer goes over there. You'll see the officer kneel down, and then, and that's all you can really see because they have everything covered. But that is where one of the boys is, and that's why they have that blacked out.
Trying to fight you?
And then you hear somebody else. I think it's his daughter in the background, but I'm not sure. I mean, whoever it is, how tragic. And I think he's yelling at somebody to go inside. I don't know if it's the dog or the daughter. There's stuff going on, though. And this is the point. Like, for law enforcement, again, I can't help but keep myself thinking about them. Chaotic situation.
Okay. And once again, Peter didn't, he was kind of watching this with everybody. He didn't know that the daughter had gone to the fire department. She was running down the street toward the fire department. So the stepdaughter had gotten away. She knew that her stepdad was doing this, and she was yelling and screaming for somebody to come help, that he was doing this. So who Chad was yelling at was the dog.
Situation here that they're dealing with.
63. Get your butt inside. Gallon, get your butt inside. We on primary?
Now. 29, we got 3 kids down. 3 kids down, 16.
Gallon. 63, we're 21. Have EMS respond over here.
And again, the defendant is yelling at somebody to get inside, saying, get your butt inside, like trying to help the situation. And you'll hear how he interacts with law enforcement now.
You're clear, they're being advised. Bravo 34, just started a mass casualty response. 63, do you want them to respond to the Laurel Lindale address? Where exactly do you need them?
We're right in the front yard.
You took my life from me! My life!
What are you doing, man?
Hey, pretty copy all this.
Can I roll over? I ain't gonna hurt you. I ain't gonna hurt nobody. You got anything on you? No, I ain't got nothing, man. Phone, that's it.
He literally, I mean, I feel like I would sound like him if somebody showed up to my house. I'd be like, I'm not going to hurt anybody. What's going on? But thinking about what he just did, reportedly and allegedly and confessionally by himself, to be able to act like this is pretty wild.
Mad? I ain't nothing.
I'm not mad. I'm not nothing. I'm not going to hurt anybody.
Just make sure that dog don't come out. I don't think he'll bite you. Just don't reach for him and try to grab him and pet him. He won't bite you.
And he's like basically giving them tips on how to deal with the dogs so they don't get bit.
Come on, man. Nothing. Can I stand up? It's kind of uncomfortable. I'm gonna get
I ain't gonna do nothing. I ain't running away. You can do whatever you want.
As they're taking him away and then putting him in the vehicle, you can look at his shirt and see that there are stains on it, and also along his arm, like right on the back side of it, where the when they're tightening his cuffs or whatever they're doing. I guess maybe they're taking the stuff out of his pocket, but it's kind of interesting.
The house? What? You're the only one else inside the house. Yeah. Sit down right here. My daughter, she ran over to the fire department.
You can see as well that there's a black square further down the yard, near the ditch line, when they're taking Chad to the police car. That is where another little boy is.
Department. Sit down. It's my stepdaughter. Put him in the cage.
His daughter went to this fire department. They're going to put him in the cage. And you notice how law enforcement grabs him. It's not kind, it's tight grip. Transfer from one to the next. Take him to the car.
Back pocket. Shut up, dude. Can you get the wallet out of my back pocket? Shut up, dude.
He says, can you get the wallet out of my pocket? He said, just shut up, dude. Yeah, they don't need to be nice to him, bro. They're here because of what you did. Reported.
Yeah, the right to remain silent and fucking easy.
I'd like to think that I would probably be the same way to him. I'd be like, shut up. These officers saw what he did. Okay, there's no black squares for them, right? They see it. They know. They know what he did. they were called in as far as to what he did, and they see it now. And then they're reacting with this guy, and he's acting like nothing's wrong. I'm not going to do anything to you. I'm fine. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to do anything to... Really? And then he says, can you get my wallet out of my pants? Shut up. I do not, I don't blame the police officer for saying that, And then in a little bit, he says, you've got the right to remain silent. Just use it.
Yeah, the right to remain silent. Fucking use it.
You have the right to remain silent. Don't talk to any of us. Good police work.
See right there. And then there's a spot up here on his back of his shirt.
Hold on. The firehouse is advising them that the male shot the entire family.
So there you go.
Seriously?
I believe this is a...
Okay. So, so we have that part. Pretty, I guess what blows me away about that one is, like Peter said, his demeanor, the way he was talking to the police officers. I do find it kind of a little strange that he sat there on the porch, but his rifle was right next to him, on the left-hand side of him. But he never picked it up when he saw the police officers walking toward him. But he also didn't respond to them either when they said, get up, start walking toward us, put your hands up. He didn't do any of that. He waited for them to come get him. So, I don't know, we also saw him in court, and at one point when the prosecution was saying that this was the most heinous crime he had ever witnessed and his law enforcement officers had ever witnessed, if looks could Kill, Chad's look toward him would have done so. But there was a point where he did kind of break down and act like he was crying. His eyes were a little blurry, whatever, but I never saw any tears fall. So, it's hard to know what's going on in the minds of someone like this, okay? But now we're going to get to, I'm sure he's not going to bail out because they set his bail very high. But let's look at the charges. Peter Tragos' dad is also a lawyer. He has been a criminal lawyer. He's been a prosecutor. He's done it all. He's been a criminal, civil, you name it. He's done it all. So he understands these charges, and he's going to break down the 21 charges for us so that we understand why they put 21 charges on Chad Dorman. Okay? So let's go there and watch it. Okay.
Why, please, we got to 21 counts and how it can work if he's convicted of all of them.
So yes, that is a good question, because it seems like, wow, why would you have 21 separate counts when what we have here are 3 murders? And the reason you have that is the prosecutor is trying to cover himself, to make sure that when he goes to trial, he is allowed to argue to the jury multiple theories of murder. The jury can come back with one of those theories or guilty on all of those theories. And the prosecutor just didn't want to take the chance. So let's break down the indictment. First, we have 3 counts, count 1, 2, and 3. This is murder, or aggravated murder is the way they call it in Ohio. This is what you normally traditionally think about as murder. Premeditated murder. You think about it. You plan it. You carry out your plan, and someone dies. But premeditated murder doesn't have to be. You plan it the day before, you go buy a gun, you wait outside the house until they walk out of their house, and then you kill them. It doesn't have to be that long. A premeditation, in other words, thinking about it, making a conscious decision to commit that murder, can happen in a very short period of time. I've heard prosecutors argue that someone's in a fight and they both have a knife and there's one stabbing, and then the person goes and does that second stab, and that second stab causes the death. Well, the time between the first stab and the second stab is sufficient for that person to decide and calculate that he's committing a murder. Just that short period of time, or between the first bullet and the second bullet, the first time you pull the trigger and the second time you pull the trigger. That can be enough for premeditation. So in this case, we have 3 counts of premeditated murder. Then we have 4, 5, and 6. These are felony murder. Felony murders are committing a murder during the course of committing another crime. For instance, you've got somebody robbing a bank. They're in there, they're robbing the bank, and all of a sudden a guard comes out of the side door with a gun. You turn, you shoot, you kill the guard. Well, that's first-degree murder, regardless of whether you premeditated it or thought about it. The fact that you were committing a robbery and during the course of the robbery you killed somebody, that is felony murder. In this case, they're charging that the felony murder, the crime being committed before the murder, was kidnapping, which means restraining someone, preventing someone from getting away, preventing their freedom of movement. By doing that, by doing a kidnapping, you're committing a felony. If you commit a murder, which in this case is the murder of the children, while you're restraining the children from their normal movement, is a felony murder, a crime committed or a murder committed during the course of a felony. So that's the next 3 counts and the next theory of the prosecution. Then you've got counts 7, 8, and 9. 7, 8, and 9 are counts referred to as in a specific statute in Ohio that if you purposely murder a child 13 years old or less, that becomes an aggravated murder. It doesn't have to be premeditated. It doesn't have to be a felony murder during the course of commission of a felony. It can just be you intended to kill a 13-year-old or less. The next 3 counts, that's the theory. So the prosecution is going to be able to present. They premeditated it. And it was done during the course of a felony. And it was purposeful for a child to kill a child under 13. So they have 3 separate theories. Again, they can be convicted on all 3 and or on any one of them. The next counts we have are kidnapping. Now here they have 4 counts of kidnapping. You might think, why do they have 4? A lot of people have forgotten, and the press really plays up on the fact that there were, and sadly so, these 3 children. But there was also a mother. The mother was shot. The mother was restrained. The mother was kidnapped. And therefore, we have 4 counts, the 3 children and the mother. And then you've got kidnapping. The next 4 counts are kidnapping during the course of a felony. That's similar to the felony murder. So in this case, in order to facilitate this kidnapping, a murder was committed. So the aggravated murder is the felony being committed during the kidnapping. And so the prosecution is allowed to argue that this is a kidnapping during the course of the commission of a felony and in furtherance of that felony. So that's the next counts. Then you've got the felony assault. So a felonious assault, in this case, it was felonious assault with a gun. A felonious assault with a gun happened, and again, it's 4 counts, the 3 children and the mother. So your next 4 counts is using a gun to assault someone. Now, one of the multiple questions we have after this is all done is this a death penalty case? Yes, this is a death penalty case. The prosecutor has announced they're going for the death penalty. In Ohio, you have to have certain factors, like in most other states, in order to get a death penalty. In this case, there are specifications within the indictment. Those specifications are in there specifically, and they're designed to make this a death penalty case. And those specifications include the preteen age of the victims and the use of a firearm. Those are key to the death penalty. But then another question arises. You've got multiple charges with multiple multiple victims. 3 of each of those indictments is the same victim. So you have aggravated murder and it's charged 3 different ways. Let's say the jury comes back and the jury says guilty on all 3. By law, since there was only 1 victim and 1 death, there can only be 1 sentence, even though they were convicted on all 3 counts. It does not mean that should the judge decide not to give the death penalty, that the judge couldn't stack on top of that the kidnapping and the felonious assault. The judge can do that. But keep in mind, 1 victim, 1 death, regardless of the number of counts that charge an aggravated murder, can only result in 1 sentence. Peter, I hope that clears it up, and I hope that helps your listeners understand why there were 21 counts.
Yes, Dad. Okay, so that makes a lot more sense now.
Okay, so as you can see, that kind of explains the 21 counts. I thought that Papa Tragos did a really good job of telling us what that meant, right? Again, I want to thank Peter Tragos, lawyer you know, and Papa Tragos, for helping us out today, telling us about all that. And you guys, again, I really seriously, I watch this channel because I want to know what the legalities are. I want to know what the facts are. And if some speculation runs rampant, Peter is quick to say, hey, no, that's not fact, you know. He'll talk about it. He'll talk about the speculation and say, you know, that cannot be brought up in a court of law, or it can be, or, you know, is that a fact, or, you know, he explains it. So he is under the moniker of @TragosLaw on a lot of the social media platforms. So please feel free to follow him. Let him know Granny sent you. Okay, so back to Chad. Not sure when Chad's trial will be. I guess we'll hear more as the time goes by, and we will be watching this if that's what you guys want. It's a very sad case. His wife was also shot in the hand. I don't know if that was brought up earlier, but she tried to grab one of the boys back when Chad was trying to harm him, and she ended up getting shot in the hand. So she was taken to the hospital as well. So the only one who wasn't harmed that day was Alexis, because she was able to get away and run. And, you know, get the authorities there, although it was a little bit too little too late, but she tried. So you guys, let's keep Laura and Alexis and the rest of their family, including Chad's family, in our thoughts and our prayers, because this is going to be a very difficult time for them. I can't imagine what Laura is going through. It's got to be horrible. So let me know your thoughts on this case if you want me to continue to follow it. It's very difficult. Some of these gruesome cases is just really difficult. But, I guess that's what we're here for, right? To explain, to let you know what's going on. So I hope that you guys have a great night. And we will see you on the next one. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching another episode of Granny's Crime Busters. We really appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to subscribe and like and even share the content. You can follow us on any of our other social media platforms at YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We really appreciate you guys, and you can also email us at grannyscrimebusters@gmail.com. Thank you so much, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.